Everybody, welcome to the Unbiased Rugby Podcast. My name is Matthew. Brent, how are you doing today, brother?
Good, thanks yourself, man.
Oh, mate, after Friday, you can only be good, eh?
Yeah, no, it was a brilliant one. Really enjoyed it. It's
I
about time.
thoroughly, absolutely, and I must just say, before we start this video, I was watching that game. It was a bit surreal for me. The Springboks played out of their skin. Malcolm Marx, Marnie Lebok, we'll get into all of that. But before we start, I just want to say, at a point, I really wanted to nil New Zealand. I must say, I
Yeah,
really
for
did. But
sure.
at the same time, I'm glad they scored because we got nilled by them, I think, in 2018, 57-0 or whatever it was.
Yep.
And I know how that feels as a fan. And it's terrible. And I mean, we've spoken about it since we started this podcast. We've grown an immense respect for the All Blacks. We always had one, but we've grown an even bigger respect, speaking with the fans in the comments and having them watch our videos. And I'm really glad they got one in at the end there. I don't think that they underperformed. I know that a lot of people are saying New Zealand didn't show up on the day. They were trash, their worst game ever. I think they were just put under so much pressure.
Matt, let's just put it this way. If it was any other team that had to defend on their own 20-meter line with that kind of pressure coming through, that score would have been massive. Let's be honest now.
Listen, 13 men on the field for probably 8 minutes, 7-8 minutes, and then 14 men on the field for over 40 minutes. If that was any other team, it would have been a 60-point game.
100%.
So they did incredibly well. And I mean, we scored, I think the last 15 minutes was all New Zealand.
Correct.
They came back, they fought hard, immense respect. Great game to watch. I feel desperate for them. I don't think it's any reason to underestimate them. I think they'll learn from this. I don't think any team could have withstood what the South African forward pack brought to that game.
No.
It was insane. It was the most insane performance I think I've ever seen, and we spoke about it in the preview to the game. We said, if anything, this is the best. You said it. This is the best team, and it's made you more excited than you've been about the Springboks in the last 10 years. And I agreed. And look, we had I had the game at 5 points to South Africa, but it was crazy, absolutely crazy. There were a couple of things. I mean, that knock on by, I think it was Mark Talia there in the end of the first half. Borderline for me. I didn't see separation. I saw the ball in his hand touch the ground. Could have gone either way, I think.
It was definitely a knock-on. That was definitely a knock-on. There was no two ways about that.
Yeah, I just saw him gather the ball and then sort of lean forward, and the ball hit the ground. But to me, it was like it could have gone either way. Lucky the touch judge saw it. It was one of those things that was very hard to see. I mean, they had the points on the board. Mo'unga was setting up for the kick, and the touch judge came up and he let the referee know. That would have been Mo'unga's miss, the penalty miss. That would have been a different ball game at halftime. Going in at 14-10 would have been a different ball game in that second half.
14-7, yeah.
I think that New Zealand gave away far too many penalties. Everyone says they defended extremely well, and I've said it once before, and I think that they know what they're doing when they give away those penalties.
Matt, what else are you going to do there? If you're not giving away a penalty, you're giving away a try. So it's a defense mechanism, and it's all that they can do.
What do you do, though? Do you give away a try, or do you get the yellow card? Because then you know.
You see, I don't think that they thought it was going to last that amount of time. I think, maybe 3 times they would have gotten out of their half. South Africa would have taken the 3 points, but this time South Africa did it. We put them there and we stuck them there and we didn't move from there. That was the main thing about this whole thing. Usually South Africa goes and kicks 3 points and New Zealand comes back and scores a try.
Absolutely,
they always counter-attack on us. And this time we said, okay, we keep them in their 22 and we see what happens from there.
I mean, you're absolutely right if you look at it like that. And I think Marnie Lebok's kicking game was fantastic.
Brilliant.
Box kicks, fantastic.
The team just clicked. Everything was working the way it was supposed to. It almost seemed like we took the foot off the gas at the end there. But I do think that the guys were tired. The guys must have been finished after that first half. But what do you think of Rusty's 7-man, Nibanonda's 7-man switch up there in the forwards?
The whole forward pack got changed.
Ever seen something like that in your life?
No, I've never, and I doubt you will again. If I'm if I'm going to be quite
It's
honest
a
with you,
risky move,
it's
eh?
unprecedented, and I don't think it'll happen in the World Cup. I think it happened because Willie Leroux pulled out that last minute, and Kwagga Smith can go forward or back, but I think in a World Cup game you can't risk losing a backline player and have no one on the bench. Reinach can slot in at wing. He did well at wing. He didn't do anything wrong at wing. He's got the
Yeah.
pace to be a winger, but I think that you can't be risking that. I think you at least need two backline players, which will be Willie Leroux and then another halfback.
Let's give a quick shout out to Kane and Moody, yeah? That run, that disallowed try. Did you see how easy that guy steps two players? It didn't even look
Players.
like he was
Got
trying.
out of the tackle, step two players. Did you see that unlucky offload from Mpimpi when Kane and Moody wrapped around on the left-hand side and he just couldn't gather that ball? He has so much. He just knows what's going on. He can read the game so well. He sees the gaps. Andre Esterhuizen with that one break, and there was unfortunately nobody with him. And there's nothing else he could have done. It was brilliant. A lot of people were saying, Willemse made a break and then he kicked that ball away. But there were three New Zealand players around him. He had no support. If he went down in the tackle, we would have lost that ball. So he grubbed it out into touch, gained some territory, put New Zealand on defense again. It was absolutely incredible to watch, obviously, as a South African fan. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from New Zealand. I'm still sure that New Zealand are going to go and beat France in that opening game of the World Cup.
Matthew, you see, the statistics don't support the scoreline at all. If you look at the possession that we had, New Zealand actually had more possession than what we had at 53%. Territory, they had 52% territory. Tackles made, they made 92, we made 157. So the stats don't show South Africa complete dominance. We were tackling to save our lives there at the end of the day. The problem was New Zealand's ball just wasn't sticking to hand. They were making a lot of knock-ons and so on and so forth, and the scrum was just annihilating.
But going into New Zealand's unforced errors and that's where people come out and say, "Oh, New Zealand played shit; they didn't perform." But I put that down to pressure. Everyone says South Africa would never have won that game if New Zealand pitched up on the day, or the score would have been a lot closer. But I put it down to pressure. You can say that a team plays badly, that's fine. But a team's not going to play badly if the opposition doesn't put them under pressure. It's the same thing we did to them in Nelspruit last year.
You could see that they were trying to get away with 50-50 passes. That's when that Kirtley Adrianse try happened, because they were just trying to swing the balls through and try to get out of their own 22, and it just ended up going to the wrong player. They tried to force a situation that shouldn't have been forced, but they knew at the rucks they were kind of getting annihilated.
Absolutely, and I feel like we played a lot like New Zealand in a term where we took almost every opportunity that we got.
Correct.
I mean, off the turnover, we were playing the ball. The backline didn't see much of it, but when they did, it was fire. I know we didn't score many backline tries. We scored one, I think. One backline try with Orense on the intercept. But, I mean, it was absolute fire. The backline on defense. Esterhuizen, what do you do now? I'm convinced we're going to see Dealindi and Creel in that Scotland game, but I'm starting to think in a World Cup final, you need to have now Esterhuizen and Moody. I mean, what bigger test and what bigger proof do you need against, All Blacks, number one team in the world? And to me, I'm sorry, they are the number one team in the world. I don't care what the world rankings say,
No, Matt Esterhuizen is our best centre. Let's just put it straight out there. Maybe they see that Jesse Creel, previously they saw that Jesse Creel and Dealende had a bit of a better partnership, but you can't fault what happened on Friday night. Kane and Moody and Andre Esterhuizen clicked. They did.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Malcolm Marx. Let's talk a little bit about Scott Barrett. Unfortunate with that first yellow card. When I say unfortunate, not unfortunate. With the amount of penalties they gave away, 5-6 penalties on their 5-meter line within the first, 18, within the first 10, probably 15 minutes of the game, scrambling in defense. It was going to come. And then, the second one was a yellow put on referral, which I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it was upgraded to a red. If not, it should have been. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people are saying, he was going to clean out above Malcolm Marx. Scott Barrett knew exactly what he was doing. He aimed at Malcolm Marx's head. He left his feet and he dived straight into him. Whether he hit him in the shoulder or actually made head contact, you couldn't see exactly. I'm sure he did from the angle of the camera, but you didn't see shoulder contact to the head, but you could just, you knew it was there. And he knew what he was doing. He knew it was wrong. I just think nothing away from his character, quality player. Under that amount of pressure, he knew Malcolm Marx was absolutely destroying them in the forward pack. If he could get Malcolm Marx out of the game in the heat of the moment, that's what it was, and that's rugby. You get frustrated, you get angry. I mean, you played rugby, I played rugby. Every now and again, you'd smack someone here, smack someone there. Hopefully, the ref doesn't see. You'd get pissed off, pull someone's hair in the bottom of a ruck.
But at the end of the day, he could have just cost his team a massive spot in against France now with that little bit of frustration.
Yes.
So he's got to cool his jets a little bit. I'm honestly hoping that if it does become a ban, that it's only maybe like a one game ban. But I don't really want to see him get banned, to be 100% honest with you. I'd like them to be a full squad team when they go up against France.
Yeah, but then we should say the same. I wish Intermac wasn't injured and France could go up as a full squad. So maybe it just balances the cards a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I do want to see New Zealand at full power. We'll see what happens with what happens with Disciplinary.
We'll do a preview on that game next week, and we'll talk about all of this stuff. I think that just came down to a bit of frustration, and nobody got injured. There wasn't much in it, and yeah, it's just one of those things.
I'm interested to see what exactly happened to Lomac's knee.
It was a bit of a gash. I actually watched the game again yesterday.
Was it a bit of a gash? It's all the way down to the muscle.
Yeah,
it's a massive gash.
It had to have been a stud, and then I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where people are saying, who sharpened their studs and this and that. Listen, this is professional international rugby. Nobody's
all checked before the game,
Everything is checked. You can't, don't even make comments like that. It could have been anything. There could have been something on the field when he fell down. It could have been a piece of wire in the grass or something stupid like that.
Let's not say that, because we are talking cuck about like one of the best stadiums. It is Twickenham at the end of the day. But
you never know what happens. Something could have fallen off the lawnmower. Who's going to pick up a little piece of something? I'm not saying that it was. It could have just been a stud, and
it definitely wasn't intentional. Whatever it was,
it is what it is. He'll get stitched up as long as it's not the muscle, and hopefully nothing serious. I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't looked too much into it. I'm pretty sure he'll be fine.
I'm hoping so. It's a key component to that front row of the New Zealand.
But not underestimating New Zealand. I don't think I'm not taking anything away from the quality team that they are. South Africa outperformed them on the day, and that's what it's all about. We 2 for 2 from New Zealand, not 2 for 2, but we played the last 4 games as 2 wins and 2 wins, and pretty.
If you had your choice, who would you face in the quarterfinal now? France or New Zealand?
France any day of the week. France any day of the week.
I'm with you on that one. You must just remember that they've got the home advantage. I mean, we watched the crowd against Australia, and that crowd is insane. 80,000 people booing like that. I mean, even the ref is starting to make mistakes at that point.
France any day of the week, my friend. But yeah, we will do great game. So proud. Manie Libbok kicked out of his, something's changed up. You mentioned there about his angles and this and that. You noticed?
Yeah. No, they were chatting about it, that he was talking to his Stormers kicking coach, and they said that they just changed his angle a little bit because he does tend to hook the ball a little bit, and it seemed to have worked this week. I mean, it was over a phone call. Told him to. Yeah, it was over a phone call, and he just told him to take a step to the left, so he's kicking from just more than a 45-degree angle now, and it seemed to have worked this week, and hopefully it stays that way.
And I hope that hopefully it does stay that way, and I hope that he's found his confidence. I mean, I can't sit here and judge we're going to kick every kick over just because of one game. He needs to do that week in, week out. Yes, miss 1 here or there, but you've got to have an 80-90% kicking ratio.
I'm surprised by Richie Mo'unga. Richie Mo'unga had quite an off game, though.
It's all pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
It's absolutely all pressure. You can't.
But this is what we were saying with Manie Libbok the other day, Matt. We were saying this about Manie Libbok the other day. You get those 3 points. You work so hard for those 3 points to get there, and you miss that kick. It brings the whole structure of your team down. Everyone just doesn't have the power to do it anymore when you keep on missing the kick.
Purpose. You're working so hard, and then you get nothing out of it. I do understand that. We're talking about professional rugby, and they've got a job to do. So they've just got to bite the bullet, and this is life, and they've got to say, right, he missed, I've got to do it again. I got to do it
It's
again, and I
professional
got to
rugby,
do
but
it
they're
again.
still human at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Extreme
But,
humans, but still human.
yeah, no, absolutely. I hear you. Other than that,
But
a great game. All respect to New Zealand. Absolutely devastated for their fans. It's never nice to. Well, listen, it was lovely to watch for us, but it couldn't have been nice to watch for them. Don't take anything into it. I'm telling you now. We made a preview of the World Cup, and we made our.
let me be honest with you, Matt. I've been reading some of the New Zealand commentary at the moment, and they're their biggest critics. So they
They
are
absolutely are.
roasting them down in New Zealand. You check the newspaper. They are so hectic. They are so passionate about the sport. You can check that as soon as they make one mistake, they gun.
Listen, I'm telling you, when New Zealand loses a game, the country goes in the morning. Nobody goes to work the next day. That's their sport. That's their love. That's their passion. And it's the same for us in South Africa. We love the game, and we love the rivalry. And it's just one of those things. I mean, we got nilled by them, and I watch the videos and I still see that. And I mean, our players were crying. I think I was crying when we go. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to be seen in public.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It's the passion for the game, and all due respect to New Zealand, I'm not underestimating them.
I feel sorry for France because they're going to come back a lot harder than that.
France is gonna.
New Zealand doesn't lose 2 games like that in a row, so it is going to be one insane game against France. I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's that for this review of the game. Great game to watch. Enjoyed it. Is there anything else you want to bring in?
Oh, guys, please, if you like our content, please hit us a like and subscribe. Comment on what you think that what we've spoken about today, and leave us a couple of questions. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future from us.
Hundreds, guys. Like, sub, and let us know what you think. Cheers, boy.
Cheers, bud.